already know, IEEE Region 10 Young Professionals Committee delivers a series of affinity group training modules which aims to bring together current and future young professionals across Region 10 under a single platform by providing the necessary volunteer leadership guidance on successfully running affinity group activities in their local sections. After completing the YP training module 1 successfully, IEEE Region 10 Young Professionals has come up with YP training module 2. Today's event aims to provide a detailed overview of the way any IEEE events have to be planned and managed successfully. By attending today's event, you will get a clear idea on how to properly manage the local IEEE young professionals activities in a better or healthy way with proper planning. This will also assist you to improve the overall quality of programs you conduct and also improve the membership count, and all this you can learn from our today's eminent speakers. Without any further delay, starting with our first segment, which is the opening remarks from our Honorable Deepak Mathur Sir, IEEE Region 10 Director. Deepak Mathur Sir has also served in many leadership roles in IEEE at section, council, region, and membership geographic activities. He was IEEE India Council Chair in 2015-16. Mr. Mathur is recipient of the prestigious IEEE Region 10 Outstanding Volunteer Award and IEEE MGA Achievement Award. He is also a member of IEEE HKN, which is the International Honor Society of the IEEE. I'd like you all to welcome Deepak Mathur Sir to present his opening remarks for our today's session. Sir, over to you.
Thank you, Mahesha. Thank you very much. And thank you, Region 10 YP team, for coming out with well-thought plan of training module, especially designed for YPs of Region 10. I think this is the module 2. You are doing module 1 was doing very successfully previously. So let me acknowledge the contributions of Region 10 volunteers, be it at section level, be it at region level, or even at the student branch level. The performance of all volunteers of Region 10 have been amazing. Their creative and innovative way of planning and executing events were very impressive, and they have created value for our members. So Region 10 would like to acknowledge your contributions, and I would like to thank each one of you who are on the panel and those who are not on the panel, or those who are volunteering for Region 10. So thank you very much, volunteers from Region 10. And thank you, Savitya and the Region 10 team, for inviting me to share my thoughts with all of you. I think I have been to YP events on a couple of occasions, and I have already shared my thoughts earlier. And let me also take this opportunity to thank Region 10 YP Chair and YP team for their efforts, meticulous planning, and you all were also very innovative and creative in bringing out events for Region 10 members. Region 10 YPs have developed several new programs to engage members all across the 59 sections and 40 subsections. I know your chair was in continuous touch with me, and we have discussed many of your programs, starting from branding, logo, and content. So really, I am very much thankful to you and your team, and I wish that we have YPs in each and every section of Region 10. And in fact, we are having only 43 YPs today, and I know that Shanghai section YP is in the process of formation, and I'm sure that will be coming very soon. If that comes, then we will be having 44 YPs, but we are having 59 sections. So we are still short of 15 more YPs, and I'm sure this team is capable. They are working hard, and they will be able to increase the number of YPs in Region 10. During this pandemic, it was always a challenge to do events, to keep our members engaged. That was another challenge. But the team of Region 10 volunteers, especially our YPs, which includes our subcommittee members also of each and every committee, and for YP, especially for YP, have given exemplary performance. So you all deserve great appreciation, and hope you continue creating value-added programs for our members. So thank you very much, YP team of Region 10. Let me talk about events which you do that. So whenever we do any event, so we should always mind that, and we should always note that, or we should always decide that what is going to be takeaway. That is very important at the end of the day. What is going to be takeaway from our events, and and I strongly recommend that our members, our volunteers who are planning events, they must work on that. So there could be two takeaways. One takeaway for the members, because we are doing for the members. The another takeaway should be for our own volunteers, because volunteers should not come empty hand at the end of any event. So IEEE is providing you ample opportunity. You have got rich technical and professional resources. We have to see that how we are going to use such resources to our advantage. And apart from that, opportunities for leadership role is also available with IEEE. You can and another very important aspect of IEEE is that you can expand your professional network. So when I talk about the leadership opportunity, you get at affinity group level, you get at section level, chapter level, society level, region level, MGA level, even technical activity board, and at IEEE level. So it is up to you that how you are growing in the IEEE as far as the leadership roles are concerned, and there are ample opportunity. So you must decide your goals, and which I just told you the takeaway from the event, and in the long perspective also. Recently, for 2021 and 2022, Region 10 has come out with some thrust areas. We have brainstormed, and we have decided what is to be done in 2021 and 2022. So for membership activities, we are focusing on member retention and continuation of students to young professionals. If you talk about technical activities, we are for section chapter collaborative programs. We are going to work on conference quality and industry engagements, and our professional activities are going to focus on entrepreneurship and career advancement program. So I would like to request you YPs also that whenever you do any program, just look at these thrust areas of Region 10, and because that has been we have come out with these thrust areas after a lot of brainstorming, and that is well thought. And if you will work based on these thrust areas, then you will get a direction, and that is very important. So I request you all that whenever you plan activities, just refer to the thrust areas. And one very important aspect I would like to share with you all, that YPs, they have got a lot of potential, but YPs are limited to their own activities as YP activities. When we were forming Region 10 subcommittee, then I came across many YP volunteers, good volunteers, and they all wanted to serve in the YP committee only. And then I discussed with them, and then I encouraged them, motivated them to know it is not only your home. You have to grow tomorrow. You have to be in conference committee. You have to be in professional committee. You have to be in technical committee. Even I'm very happy to see that one volunteer, one YP is in our life member committee, and that particular one, if I remember correctly, is Ritvik, and he's doing very well, and he's coordinating with our life members. There is a great learning, and he has come out of that mental block of being only with YP. So I will also request you try to go into the various committees, not only to the YP. And Region 10 this time has provided good opportunity to you all, and I'm happy to see that the many of our YPs are in different committees. So just look for the bigger role. You have opportunity, and that will give you a great experience. I would just like to finish, but I would like to share one very important aspect which we are doing right now. We are working on a global project on robotics. And Savitya knows that we are working region 2, 3, region 7 and 8, and region 10. We 5 regions are working on a mega project where we are planning to form a team of volunteers where YP and students, they will work together at section level, and they will develop a working robo, and that robo will be participating within the section, teams would be participating within the section. Then it will come to the region level, and then cross-region competition will be held, and the winners are going to be going to get very attractive prizes to the tune of $10,000. But this is at a very proposal stage, and we have not yet decided. But why I'm discussing with you that nobody stops you to do these kind of projects at your section level. So I encourage you YPs that you are only limited by your own imagination. So you come out with your programs, with creative programs, and you come out with your innovation as you usually do, and make use of this opportunity because we are in virtual mode, and let us see that what best we can do that. So you know that we are passing through a really bad phase, and this is very challenging time due to the second wave of COVID-19, and it has hit very hard many countries, especially in Asia Pacific region. So I hope that you and your families are doing well, keeping safe, and you all are healthy. And I would like to take this opportunity to express my sincere concern to members and families who have been affected by this pandemic. And my earnest request to every member is to take all precautions and follow safety protocols on COVID-19. And the most important thing is that you should adhere to guidelines issued by your local authorities, which are being issued by time to time. So safety is our prime concern today, and I'm confident these days will over soon, and our days are going to be brighter. So this is a positive outlook I'm having for tomorrow. And IEEE has got dedicated resources of COVID-19, and members and you all members are encouraged to utilize and promote those resources for your technical and professional development and for your career growth. So have a look on that and use that. And I would like to request all volunteers to explore the possibility of technological interventions to deal with present challenging situation. But all are to be done keeping your safety at highest priority. One more thing that we have also come out with a special call for humanitarian project, and that is going to be a good in number. So that call is already still on. So you YPs take look at that and come out with your innovative and creative idea. And that is basically we are looking at COVID-19 related projects. So so look at that, and still we have got time. You can apply for that. So before I conclude, let me thank each one of you once again for your contributions, and at the same time, let me also congratulate you all for all your achievements. So be interactive in this session, in this training session, and make use of this opportunity to the best. And please take care, stay safe. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for your valuable time and words. We are always motivated by your constant guidance. We have a small token of appreciation on behalf of the IEEE Region 10 Young Professionals team. Hope you like it and will accept it.
Thank you, Maisha. Thank you very much. Thank you, Team YP. I'm really very happy to attend this session. Thank you very much.
Our pleasure, sir. Moving on to our next segment, which is event planning and building your team. For this segment, I would like to welcome Jose Pinto, IEEE Young Professionals Event Committee Chair. Jose Pinto has been an IEEE volunteer since 2013 and having started as a student during his Bachelor in Science in Computer Science. During this time, he was organizing committee chair of the Student and Young Professional Congress 2018 and chair presided by treasurer of the IEEE Young Professionals of Portugal, having focused his IEEE volunteering efforts on young IEEE member engagement and event management. After finishing his MSc in software architecture, he became a software engineer, currently at Flutter Entertainment PLC. May I request Jose Pinto to kindly take over and share his presentation with us.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for the introduction. So let me just share my slides first. Can you see my slides?
Yes, sir. We can see your slides.
Cool. Let's get started. So, first of all, let me also thank everyone, thank the committee for inviting me. I am always very interested and very excited to be presenting at Region 10. Having been in the last 2 years the region's 7 to 10 representative, I've always had a chance to be in close contact with the coordinators. I'm very proud to have Taco be my predecessor currently. I think he'll do a great job, and he's doing a great job. But Region 10 has always had a special place because it's one of the most active regions. It has people doing a lot of stuff all the time, and it's always great things with a lot of dedication. And I think that's the word for Region 10, which I classify it as dedication. So with that in mind, I'm going to start my presentation. The topic for this session will be event planning and building your team with these two particular words. And before we start, if you're not familiar with my face, here's a chance to be. I've already been introduced, but I have a slide here as well, so I'm going to do that too. My name is Artem. I'm the event committee chair, as just said. A volunteer for 8 years. I currently work at Flutter Entertainment, which is a sportsbook betting company. And let's just say I've organized a few things all over the years. And I'm here to talk about a bit of my experience that I've achieved of organizing different types of events at different scales. I've run into an insurmountable amount of problems and issues that I had to solve, and this is my experience having done those. Small overview. Today we're going to go through the two major topics with a few subtopics. And I expect by the end of this session, you to have a bit an opportunity to learn from my experience a bit, understand the basics of planning an event, and to have some tools for you to get started. It's a very important thing when you start to planning an event to know where your foundations are and what are the basic important things you need to have before going forward with the more complex things. And of course, I'm going to talk about a lot of things, but events have a very diverse nature. They are of different types, they are of different needs, they are of variations according to culture, country. So what I'm going to talk about today can apply to your events, can apply to other events in different, very, very different ways. So we're going to talk about all of them in some sort of a generic form. And one thing to note is that I will be focused in-person events, and I know this might come as a shock since we are basically doing virtual events for over a year now. But I am very hopeful that we will start doing the in-person events, which I believe are more impactful on people. But let's just get into it, okay? So event planning. On the event planning, we're going to talk about the basic setup needs of an event. There are a lot of things we could talk about here, and 20 minutes is not enough for us to cover all the different topics that we need. Definitely. So we're going to talk about what I deem to be the most important ones and the ones that I think have the biggest impact early on, because we're talking about event planning, not event execution. So the importance of having a good foundation will set your event for success. You will be based on your foundations to basically do everything throughout the date until your event, and also, of course, during the execution. And one of those things is understanding what your event actually needs. There are different types of events, from conferences to social gatherings to virtual events, and they all have different needs. And it's important to understand what you're organizing and understanding who is your audience, so that you reach the conclusion that I've reached after a few years, which is events are all about people. Events are all about the people, are all about the participants, and it's not about the event. It's not about whatever we're doing. It's about people and what can people take away from it. And I deem the definition of success of an event, well, I deem it successful if people have gained something from it. And that's what we want to do basically in IEEE mostly. We're doing events so we can enrich people's lives, so we can make them better at a technical level, for example, or just better at making connections with other people or allowing people to make connections. So knowing your audience, knowing what your event is supposed to do is very important. And I say this for small scale events to large scale events. Being able to create a space where people can connect with each other is what I deem to be most important. And this can be applied to all types of events. If you're at a technical conference, you might have the main presentations, but you'll also have a lot of times that are kind of neglected, where people are just left to their own will. Don't do that. Pick up all the opportunities to make people connect with each other, make them create successful partnerships with each other. Different areas, different expertises, when collaborating will generate a better effort, I'm sure of it. So, and this is why I also mentioned here that virtual events can sometimes become unappealing to most people because it misses that connection aspect. Just listening to Region 10's director now, I'm starting to get reminiscent of when talking to my other peers or on personal events, in-person events, and I miss that a lot. So I don't think virtual events will be the future. I think hybrid events will be the future. So understanding that you have to take care of your people and go towards their needs is, I think, a very important step when you're planning an event. And speaking of planning your event, nothing is as important as having a schedule. And you might think, well, this is rather basic. Yes, it is, but it's also basic for a reason, because it's needed. And having a schedule right from the start and starting to plan your event is very important, because you need to make use of every little slot you have. And this will vary for different types of events, whether they're a bit smaller and it's a one day with just a couple of hours of events, but where you don't really need a lot of scheduling. But since we're talking about events, we're going to, and we're in Region 10. Region 10 usually organizes very big events with a lot of people. So I'm going to go for the big fish, and we're going to talk about things that are important in big events, in complex events, events that need a good, strong hand and need good management skills. And having a good schedule is also a part of that. Understanding that the schedule is needed for the participants, but also understanding that the schedule might also be needed for the volunteers or for your team, for the team of volunteers that is helping you organize the event or do the event execution. But also understanding your limitations, understanding that your event might have a few limitations. If you're going to need to transport people from place to place, your schedule, whichever schedule you're doing, and all the schedules we're doing should account for all your limitations, because the more you prepare according to your limitations, the better you'll have, the less you have those delays, those things that will break down your event at the end of the day and will delay it and will cause more frustration. So having accountability for those limitations will help a lot during the execution, specifically during the execution. And we can say just from transportation, for example, if you're moving participants from one place to another, account for that time. Participants may need to take a break once in a while, especially doing large events, more than one day events. You might need to do an activity that's not, if, for example, if you're doing a technical congress, you might need to do an activity that's not technical, that's low key, that's fun, just for the people to take a break. Because if they take a break, they'll feel like lightheaded, they'll be able to enjoy the conference more. And it's important to understand that people are not robots and they need to have things in doses. But more importantly, when you're planning all this, you should take people into account as well. And speaking about accounts and accountability and finances, let's talk about budgets. This is boring. I understand that talking about budgets might be a bit boring, but it's also what keeps you running. If you're running an event, if you're planning an event and you need money, then you need a budget. There's no way out of it. Your budget will be your control sheet, and the budget will dictate what you can or cannot do. And I deem this to be one of my favorite tools when planning an event, because once I have my budget, I'll use it as much as I can whenever I want to make a decision. The budget will dictate how crazy your ideas will be. The budget will dictate if you can or not rent that specific venue that's very costly and might ruin the rest of your finances. So having a budget will be your control, your control mechanism, and you should work your way up the budget. You should start with the worst case scenario. You should build your budget from the bottom with having in mind the major and the minor expenses. When I talk about major expenses, we're talking about the venues, renting venues, catering, transportation. These are the major things, but you should take account for as much as possible. And this is also all the small things that will be needed during the event execution and also prior to the event, because you'll sometimes need to spend money besides the event date as well. And you should also take everything into account. If you have a team of volunteers, also use your budget, if you have any budget, to take care of them is also very important. And I found this to be a very hard lesson to learn, because I used to think everyone was like me, and then no, you have to take care of people. And if you have a volunteering team, you also have to take care of them, and accounting them for your budget as well. It should also be a consideration that you have. And I've added a small tip here, which is do not forget taxes. Okay, taxes are very important. And I can give you my personal example, which I was organizing a few years ago, a very large event, and I forgot to account for taxes. And right a few months before the event, I wound up having to redo most of my event because, well, I looked at my budget and I realized I couldn't do half of the things I planned because I didn't have money because of taxes. So it's very important to understand what your realistic expenses are. And lastly, you'll want to optimize your budget later. Here, we're talking about event planning. We're talking about the basic and the fundamentals. And you want to get started as quickly as you can, right? So you should think about optimizing your budget later, because even if it's your schedule or your budget, they're not tools that you're going to build once and then use that version for the rest of the event. It should be an iterative tool. You should keep updating your tools, and you should keep updating them with your needs, okay? So you should have a budget that keeps evolving as the events go by. You'll have a lot of chances to optimize a budget. And in the beginning, it might look as negative as it can, but you'll have chances to optimize it a bit, okay? Even if a budget looks very negative in the beginning and you're losing, you want to reach that breaking point where you have a small surplus. We're not here to make money in IEEE. We're here to make good events and to enrich people's lives, but you should start off as quickly as you can and optimize later. And speaking about getting a bit of money for your budget, excuse me, let's also talk about a major step, which is sponsorships and partnerships. Because we're talking about event planning, and if you're gonna need money, if you're gonna need help, respectively, you have sponsorships and partnerships. And I mean, partnerships may involve money, they may not involve money, but they're definitely helpful in the long run. And a partnership can be anything, okay? It can even be the coalition of different volunteers that will help you during your event execution. I consider that to be a partnership. I've organized events where my partners were my local student branches that helped me with volunteers. That's a very good partnership, by the way. And speaking of sponsorships, you should get them as early as possible. Sponsorships are a lot of work. They're very difficult to get, and they're very difficult for a reason. Every company is different, every academia, every university is different, and approaching them with something they want or they can give you is a very difficult thing to do. So if I could leave a few suggestions, would be to not approach everyone in the same way. Be innovative in the way that you approach people, whether that be the content of your emails or how do you approach them personally. I used to think that creating a connection with our sponsors is the best way to securing them and having them sponsor our events. So I would always try to call them or meet in person with a possible sponsor, as much as I could, because I feel that's the thing that works most. But besides connecting them, the secondly most important thing is understanding what they actually can give you, because you might be asking for something they cannot give you, and that might be money, that might be another thing, and they might be interested in something that you're not offering right off the bat, and you need to communicate and talk with each other so you can reach the best deal possible. And lastly, the sad truth is that most contacts you do for a sponsor or a possible sponsorship will say no. That's just a fact. I remember contacting over 100 people, 100 companies, and I would always get rejected because, well, that's the way it is. So you have to make the most out of it and be innovative, because I know there are companies that appreciate you being innovative, and I know that academia helps you a lot and IEEE helps you a lot. But depending on your budget, that might not be enough. So we should make the best of sponsors and partnerships to help our event go as smoothly as possible. Because if we have more money than we need, then our minds are at peace and we can be more creative. Okay, we don't have to rely only on the money, and we can start being a bit more creative and going out of our way to do something that no one's done before. And we can, you know, do a little crazy stuff, make the event fun, make the event unique in a sense. I remember organizing an event for IEEE a few years ago and presenting the initial plan, and there was a Portuguese person on the committee, and they asked me, why are you renting this? This is so expensive. You're going to ruin your budget if you're going to rent this. And I said, yes, but it's so unique. Nothing's been done here before. And when I was able to organize it, it was one of the highlights of the event, and everyone will remember that specific part because no one had ever had gone to a place like that. The venue was a huge palace, was amazing. And although it wasn't the event's purpose, it marked people and it created a good impression on people. And that's also quite important as well. People will remember your event for the little things, not because of what it was or the technical talks that it had, but for the little details. And I'm talking about big events, right? And that's basically it I want to talk about on partnerships. Secondly, I'm just gonna go through a few details on building your team. So we could speak here for a few hours, even days, about all the details that we have into organizing an event. I thought to mention, besides the thing that I just mentioned, which was so knowing your event, just to recap, knowing your event, knowing your schedule and making the most out of it, doing your budget and having a realistic view of reality and what your spendings are, and having a control sheet, and also securing sponsors and partnerships that will carry on until the event date and will help you have a successful event. These are major things for an event's fundamentals. But I also wanted to include your team. And this is more important when you're organizing big events, okay? When you're organizing smaller events, it might not be as valuable to have a very large team doing all of the things. It actually might be more complicated to manage because you as an event owner will have to manage the people and the event as well. And it might just not be needed, and that's okay. So I wanted to mention building your team if you're organizing a big event, like I know Region 10 does quite often. You're going to need a team, and building a team, there's just no right way to do it, okay? You can build a team however you want, because teams are usually built from the resources that you have available around you. And you should make use of those resources. You should look at your local community, workplace colleagues. You should work at your college friends. You should make use of IEEE. And this is a very important thing. I've understood over the past few years that if you're going to organize an event and you need volunteers, IEEE is a good place to start, you know. Whether that be from the local student branches or from non-local student branches and people abroad that can help you in other ways. I remember organizing my first events, and when I started doing my biggest events, I had some difficulties managing budgets, for example, and I had a colleague from IEEE from another student branch in Lisbon, in Portugal, and she scheduled a call with me and helped me organize my budget. The both of us started working on a spreadsheet, and she gave me an immense help, and she didn't even know it. But it was something that people don't consider often, but having people help you during an event or having people on your team doesn't mean they're necessarily a volunteer that will be with you during the event execution. They can help you in other ways. They can help you be more organized, for example. And that's very important if you're organizing a big event. Being well organized also takes time, takes expertise. And building your team is also a very good opportunity to improve these skills, to improve management skills, to improve people skills. Because if you're managing people, if you're building a team, emotional intelligence is very important. And this means basically understanding your team's mindset or each individual's mindset and making the most out of it while also trying to keep them, it's your team. You want them to be happy. You also want them to appreciate the event and make use out of it. And lastly, when you're building a team, there's no right structure for anything, right? Depending who's working with you and who are you working with, your team could have a structure, could have no structure. But what the most important thing about having a team, if you're going to have a team, if you're not going to have a team and it's just you, then there's no need to discuss anything. Everything is your responsibility and everything is your work. But if you have a team, what you're going to do is you're going to distribute the workload, but you're not going to distribute the responsibility. It's still your responsibility as an event owner, whether that be just you or a handful of people. Even if it's 2 people, 3 people, managing the upper part of the event. If you have like a committee and subcommittees, the top committee should have their responsibility, and there's no way around it. Things will go wrong. Things will go badly, and it's the responsibility of the event owners to help the team and make use of the team to go through the difficult parts of managing an event. And that's what I have to talk to you about. Thank you so much for inviting me. I always have a lot of curiosity coming to these events, and I'm also very excited. So thank you. And I'd like to end this presentation on a Q&A. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your insightful presentation. I'm sure the whole audience has got to learn a lot from you. We also have a small token of appreciation on behalf of our team.
Do you want me to stop? Yeah, okay, yes.
Thank you.
Thank
Hope
you
you
very
like
much.
it,
I
sir.
appreciate. Yes, of course, I enjoyed very much. I think IEEE is made at these small little moments, and I appreciate you guys taking the time to thank me, and I thank you back. Organizing these events and seeing that you guys are always moving is also very important, and I appreciate that you're doing this as well. So thank you.
Our pleasure, sir. Thank you for your time. Now we will be moving on to our next segment, which is Global YP Event Funding Process and Application Tips. For this session, let us all welcome Takao Suzuki, IEEE Young Professionals Vice Chair Products and Services. Takao Suzuki received his PhD in engineering from the University of Tsukuba in Japan in 2013. From 2013 to 15, he was an assistant professor at Yokohama National University in Japan. As a volunteer of the IEEE, he was a committee member of Tokyo Gold Affinity Group 2013 to 14, the founding chair of Nagoya YP Affinity Group from 2015 to 18, and he is the immediate past chair of Region 10 Young Professionals Committee 2019-20. He is also a senior member of IEEE. May I request Dr. Takao to kindly share his talk with us. Over to you.
My presentation. Hello.
Yeah, it's visible, chat.
Okay. Yeah, let's start my presentation. First, let me introduce myself. So, I'm currently the vice chair of MZYP committee, and I'm in charge of, I'm one of person in charge of founding system. So today I would like to explain founding system from MZ side. You definitely see know MZYP website, and here is a link, and you can see the volunteer tab, and you click this, you can see the event founding opportunity item. So click this one. So you can move to the founding page here. So you can see the procedure, criteria, categories on this page. And sorry. And this is that page, founding page. You can see there what is the founding system criteria first, meetup category, local activity category, and step category, and the requirement for up materials. What materials should be submitted after the event? And that's one online submission procedure. We are using open water system now. So how to use this system and how to submit materials through the system. And last one is the contact information. So I think financial support for YPs, local YPs, is essential for the whole IEEE. Why? Because as Matthew mentioned, YP have a lot of ideas and have a good creativity to achieve activities or events in region or in local section. But sometimes they face the money problem, loss. But because they have a few human connection to get a budget or money funding, and they don't have a good position to negotiate with sponsorship or partnership with companies executives. So we Region 10 YP, MZYP have to support financially local YPs. If we can do so, local YP can make an event and improve their skills through YP activities. So financial support is very important, not only for YPs, but also for IEEE. So I mentioned before, there is 3 categories in our founding system: Meetup, local, and step events here. In short, Meetup is to expand their professional networks at international conferences, congresses, or something like that. Local is to enhance their local networks in local section or local section chapter to make a cross connection with each other. So step, to strengthen their student YP networks connections through YP event. But why I'm speaking about networking? So because the networking of YP volunteers is very important to make YP system, YP community sustainable. I created this picture when I was a Region 10 YP chair. You can see that here is a section chairs level, council coordinator, zone coordinator, YP representative chair, and the IEEE YP at the top of YP system. If we have a good volunteers, a huge number of volunteers in local side, local end, we can find a good volunteer. So he or she will be the good chair, section chair. After that, after term of the section chair, will be the coordinator or region 2 YP committee members and chair. Then finally, he or she will be the chair of MJYP, I hope. So if we couldn't get enough number of YP volunteers at local side, this system shrink or destroyed easily. So we have to make a good connection and a good human relationship in local side. That effect make a good effect to council level, region 10 level, and MJYP level, I hope. So we MJYP are providing funding for local side to collect good volunteers to improve and to enhance, expand our I2P program and the community. Second point is we adapt two-step review for each application. So first one is initial review. This review is conducted before the event date, and the second one is after the event date. The first one, we check the materials submitted by the organizer, and we provide a feedback about planning. So this budget is poor, so please clarify, estimate, please make a good estimate, something like that. So coordinator have to improve their materials, budget planning and activity planning. So what is the target? What is the expected audience, something like that. We check the document and make a comment, feedback. So organizer can modify, and at the same time, the organizer improve their planning skills as one of their professional skills, I think. So after the event date, the organizer have to submit the follow-up materials. So yeah, at this time, we check their follow-up materials and provide feedback about reporting. This information is information is lacking, or this point is unclear, something like that. So coordinator have to try to solve that problem or answer our questions. So and sometimes organizer have to find execute to get funding. So this skill, negotiation skill, is also important to be a good volunteer and a good professional. So I think the YP activities are volunteering, just volunteering. It seems to be volunteering, but simultaneously, YP activities and the YP volunteer position is training opportunity to improve their professional skills. So I try to provide feedback or comments or thought and opinion for local YP leaders because I want local leaders to improve their skills, professional skills. And finally, I hope they will be an I2P senior member and keep volunteering and keep doing professional activities in their professional field. So what are professional skills? I think there are at the early stage we can say junior YP, and after that senior YP. I think junior YP skill is similar, the same or similar with a student. Make proposal, write programs, work as a team member, follow leader's vision. That is very similar to student activity because students make reports every day and make programs as assignments and work as a team, work in the team during a group discussion or something like that, and follow teachers' instructions to get a good grade, etc., etc. So how about the senior side? We are quite different between the junior side from the junior YP side. Check proposal and modify them and revise program because junior YP's program have a lot of bugs, so revise and fix the program and manage the team, control the team. Yeah, as Jose I mentioned before, and create the vision. Create the vision to lead your team, and you have to yeah. So create a vision is really important, but yeah, actually, in fact, I don't think I have a good vision. So please, yeah, I'm keeping trying improving this skill, making a vision for my student, and for younger YP volunteers. I'm thinking about it. So I'm still young volunteer now, so I'm try improving my skills through YP activities, like yeah, especially English skill, you know. So I do think yeah, so there we should provide some platform or support to support young junior YPs to be senior YPs. So this is I think this is a YP program, I think. So the YP program, yeah, Shabby made good activities to make a good transfer from junior YPs, professional YPs to professional YPs. Maybe some guys, yeah, have a good may have good opportunity occasions to improve their professional skills, to be a good leader, to lead the team, or to create a vision. So I hope the YP team keep continue doing very well to make a good opportunity and good event activities, I hope. So here's some tips for you guys. Any organization unit can submit a funding request. Yeah, you know, not all sections have a YP affinity group in Region 10, but section directly submit the proposal request for YP founding. So section chair can submit, or section chapter, technical chapter can submit also as well. So, but a key point is, yeah, this one, once per category per year. So one for meetup, one for local, and one for step. So each organizational unit, I mean each YP can submit 3 events per year. So please try to get 3, please get founding 3 times in the year, this year. So please try. A founding request must be submitted 4 weeks before the event date. And this is a strict rule, so please meet this condition. Please make a good event title in English. Some organizers make a local event title in local language, so I cannot understand the event contents from the event title. So please make sure event title is very important for reviewers. Thank you for your cooperation. And last one is yeah, during pandemic, yeah, online event will be conducted generally, usually. So if you plan an online event, you should take screenshot and prove number of attendees. Yeah, divided by according to members categories or non-member categories, something like that. So this kind of information will be needed for follow-up materials, and this kind of statistics will be useful to create the next event. So I think this kind of information should be collected during the event, and should be kept as a legacy. And last slide is here, future plans, future works. The good, we are working to post a good report on the MZYP website. Yeah, I mean the good report will be shown on the MZYP website as a good example for newcomers and new YP members, because based on the good example, newcomers, young YPs can make a good proposal to get funding, I think. And the second point is top-side volunteer may be able to use the MZV tools as a reporting tool. Here, V tools is managed by MZA side. So now, currently, a top-side volunteer, chapter YP chair, or society YP representative cannot use this system now. But based on, according to ITP staff's comments, maybe top-side volunteer may use this system for reporting too. Because I mentioned before, reporting is one of the most important skills to manage or to control the team and to make a good team. So reporting tool is necessary for volunteers, I think. Jose, do you have any comment or do you have any update on this point, top-side volunteers? No?
No, Taco, nothing to add.
Okay, I'm working. Okay, working. I try to working hard and hard. Yeah, the last comment is here. This event funding system is a connecting point to communicate with local YP volunteers for us, for me. So please make a funding proposal, funding request for me, and I try to make a valuable comment for you, and I would like to make a good connection with you, and I hope you will be a good leader at region level and global level. Thank you. That's all. Bye bye. ありがとうございました。
Thank you, Takao sir, for your informative presentation. We really appreciate it. And we have a small token of appreciation to thank you for your valuable time today. Hope you like it, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Moving on to our next informative segment, which is Artem YP event funding process and application tips. For this session, we have our very own Purva Ittapure, Region 10 Young Professionals Information Management and Communications Coordinator. Purva Ittapure received the Bachelor's in Computer Engineering from Pune Institute of Computer Technology, India in 2019. Since then, she has been working as an associate software engineer in Siemens Digital Industries Software, building software products targeted towards the PLM domain. She has worked on many projects in the field of machine learning, solving real-life problems. Purva has been an active IEEE volunteer since 2016. Currently, she is the Information Management and Communication Coordinator of Artem YP Committee. Prior to this, she has handled numerous positions of responsibilities, including Meeting Coordinator of Artem SAC 2018, Webinar Coordinator of Artem Educational Activities Committee 2020, Secretary of Pune Section YP Affinity Group 2020, and co-SSR of Pune Section 2018, etc. May I request Purva to kindly take over and share her presentation with us.
Thanks a lot, Maisha, for the kind introduction. So, is my screen coming through?
Yes, Purva, we can see. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, hello everyone. Welcome to the session. I am Purva Ikatpure and I'll be talking about IEEE R10 YP event funding process and the application tips. So I'll be covering three major points in this session. The first one is the R10 YP funding opportunities. Then I'll talk about the proposal writing tips, the do's and don'ts. And last but not the least, I'll be covering the reporting part as well. So under the R10 YP, we have various funds for various activities. So the first fund is the YP Student Joint Activity Fund. Now, this fund is majorly provided to support YP AGs to collaborate with the students in the section and to guide them for their professional and career after graduation. So the main aim is to improve the student and YP engagements and collaborations. The eligibility criteria is that any YP AG within R10 can apply for this funding. And as mentioned earlier, for this fund, the kind of activities which we are looking for are maybe related to career development, coaching for higher studies, as well as entrepreneurship workshops or events. And the maximum funding would be $400. And the YP AGs who would be receiving these funds would be recognized. We'll give them certificates for the after completing the events, and they can publish their articles in Arten newsletter as well as on the Arten YP website. Apart from that, under the Arten YP, we'll also help to promote the events through our social media handles, maybe through e-notices. So even that is something which will be helping the YP AGs as well. So the first timeline for this event, for this funding round, was in April, and we selected few AGs for that. Now the next round would be opening in June. So you all can stay tuned to our social media handles and check the e-notices. We'll be sending the announcement soon for the second round. Now I'll just give you a brief idea of the kind of events which got funded in the first round. So it will help you to formulate the projects while applying for the next round. So the first one which you can see is by IEEE Madras YP AG Hypreneur event. So that event is specifically focused to the entrepreneurship side. It covered like how you can get into startups, how can you prepare the business model, the marketing and sales strategy, how to approach people for funding. So all this was covered under that event. Then the next event which we supported under this fund was the event from IEEE Bangladesh YP AG, that is Students Vitality Enhancement and Engagement Summit. So it was a proper 2-day summit, you can see. And the third activity was by IEEE Sri Lanka YP AG, that is Stud Pro. It consisted of like building your resumes, applying for jobs, mentoring related to CV preparation, mock interviews, and a career fair at the end. So what you can see is we support and encourage different kind of activities. So you can also be creative in the kind of activities you propose, and we'll surely help you with the funds as well. And to get an idea about the funds which are under Arten YP, as I mentioned, we are always announcing it through our social media handles. And apart from that, we also send e-notices or emails to all the YPAG leaders. So you can check those notices as well. And plus, if you want to get an idea about these funds at the beginning, then you can also visit the Arten website, which over there you can refer to the annual plans which are mentioned there. So you can get an idea about the funds which are applicable for that year beforehand as well. So moving to the next fund, it is the New or Dormant AG Seed Fund. Now this fund is targeted towards the new or the dormant AGs to help them increase their local volunteers engagement and give them a momentum for a healthy YPAG group. And the eligibility criteria is that any dormant or newly formed YPAG can apply. The condition is that it should be formed, the YPAG should not be more than 2 years old. Then the members in that YPAG should not be more than 20, and there should have been less than 2 activities in the previous year. So even if you satisfy any of these criteria, you can apply under this fund. And yes, so the YPAGs which are dormant right now, you can contact us with your proposals and we'll surely help you out. So the maximum support which we'll be providing under these funds is $750 USD. And as always, you'll be getting certificates for recognition and all the other support for publicity from Art and YP as well. And the third funds are the upskill funds. Now, these funds are targeted towards the professional development activities, and they are focused for young engineers to help them develop their skills. So for this program or the funds, the focus area would be that the activity should have 2 or more tracks, and you are free to have different tracks as well. Some of them are like, for example, code of ethics, leadership skills, soft skills, basic management for engineers. So you are free to choose whichever tracks you want apart from these as well. And the program should have at least 3 talks and keynotes, 1 panel discussion, at least 1 workshop session, and 1 networking session. And as I mentioned, any YPAG under Artem can apply for this fund. And the maximum support which we'll be giving for this is 400 USD based on the Artem matching fund policy. So the deadline for this was 31st May, but in case any of the YPAGs are interested to submit proposals, you can surely contact us and we'll see what can be done. So feel free to contact us. Now, I'll just walk you through the Artem matching fund policy, which I mentioned. So what the Artem matching fund policy says that the support from Artem YP in case of large sections would be 50% of the total expenses. For the medium sections, we'll support up to 75%, and for small sections, it would be 100% of the total expenses. And the remaining funds will have to be supported by the section or any other source of funding. So you can see like the classification based on the sections, like 1,500 and more members comes under large section, medium is 500 to 1,500, and small is 500 or below. Now, it is to be noted that the maximum support would be limited to 400 USD under this policy as well. So next, I'll be talking about how you can apply to these funds. So for the Artem YP Student Fund and Artem YP Upskill Funds, you will have to go through the Artem YP funding portal to apply. You have to register to that website as a user using your IEEE account or your Google account, and then you can apply for the funds and submit your proposal as well. And you have to mention the name of the endorser. Once you mention that, the endorser would get an email notification. And once the endorsement is done, your application would be automatically submitted. And in case your application gets selected, then after the event, you would have to send the activity and expense report via email to the YPC team. And in case of Artem YP new or dormant AG funds, the submission of the proposals needs to be done through the Artem funding portal. Now, again, in this portal, you'll have to create a new user and submit your proposal. And you have to give the details of the endorser. Once the endorser endorses it, it goes under review and it gets accepted. And once the proposal is sanctioned by the Artem teams, you can submit the reports and claim for reimbursement through the portal itself. So this was about the funding, like how you can apply for funding through the portals. Next, we'll be moving to the proposal writing. So there are various guidelines which need to be followed for the proposal writing. The first one and the most important point, which is often neglected, is like reading all the guidelines. Many times it happens that the people who are submitting the proposals kind of neglect the basic guidelines. For example, the person submitting the proposal should have an active IEEE membership. Now, in case that membership is not valid, however good your proposal is, the judges would not be able to consider that proposal only because because of failing such conditions. Then other condition might be that the YP-AG chair is not reported on vTools. So just make sure you read all the guidelines and the prerequisites before you apply to the funds to ensure that you are not disqualified due to such reasons. Then the next thing is to understand the project objectives. Now, as you can see, the Upskill program was more focused to the development of the young engineers to upgrade their skills. The student YP program was more towards student and YP interaction. So before applying to any funds, it is very necessary to understand what are the project objectives, what the team is looking for. And it is important to align your program with those objectives. So what it will help you is when the judges are evaluating the submissions, the points would be based on fulfilling these project objectives. So this is where you can increase your score and have a better chance to get the fundings. So the next thing is about stating the problem and the solution. Now, once you have your program proposal in your mind, it is equally important to state it and present it properly. You can be specific to what exactly is the problem which you are facing and how getting these funds can help you solve that problem as well. Then the next thing would be to state the deliverables. That is how you're planning to deliver that event or a summit, for example. Like, have you planned for a program? Do you have a program in mind? Do you have any tentative speakers in mind who can deliver the session? What would be the duration of these sessions? So you can state all these things in the deliverables. Now, we do understand that sometimes it might be difficult to state all these things beforehand, but having at least 70 to 80% of the program fixed before applying to the funds will surely catch you some brownie points and increase your chances to get the funding. After that, the next thing is to define the success criteria and metrics. Now, even after the program is well set, how you measure the success is also really important. What you can do is you can have the SMART objectives, that is, be specific to how you want to measure the success, be it with respect to the number of members attending it, the impact which is being created through that event, and it should be measurable, as I mentioned. Also, like, try to mention the numbers if possible so that it creates an impact, and of course it should be achievable and realistic as well. Quoting just a high number and not being able to achieve it is not something which is looked forward to. So make sure whatever you state is achievable and with a timeline in mind as well. And also in the proposal, do mention the cost or the budget factor. You can mention the various sources of income which you have and how much are you requesting from Artem YP. Also, one thing which you can do is you can always collaborate with other OUs, and this will also help you to kind of fetch some brownie points again when you collaborate with different OUs. So this is how you can go about the proposal writing. So a few do's and don'ts I'll say is that follow the template mentioned by Artin YP, because it might happen that the judges might be strict with respect to the template criteria. So you don't want to miss upon the funding opportunities due to such reasons, right? So make sure you always follow the templates which are provided by the Artin YP. Again, I'd like to stress that ensure the prerequisites are satisfied, like you have the active IEEE membership, the officers are reported on vTools. So make sure all these prerequisites are satisfied based on the proposal. Do mention the numbers wherever possible so that the proposal has an impact or creates a good impression. Use active voice, do not have very long sentences, keep it short so that it creates an impact again. And the don'ts would be that don't leave the submission at last moment. there might be some technical issues or anything. So you don't want to miss the deadline because of these issues, right? So make sure you don't submit it at last moment. Don't keep the proposal very vague. As much as possible, try to be very specific about the things you mention, so that that gives an idea to the judges how well you can plan the event, and that again increases your chances for getting the funding. So the last part is the reporting and the reimbursement. Now for activity reporting, once the event is done, you will have to submit a proper report before claiming for the funds. You'll have to mention the activities, the attendees who, like the number of attendees who were there for the event with proofs. Like as Tako-san mentioned, you can have the screenshots of the event in case it's a virtual event, or you can have photographs. You can show the registration data for the event, which basically gives an idea of the attendees count. Then you'll have to submit the event posters as well. And in case it's an online event, you can share the event link or the broadcasted link with the team. You also need to mention the detailed program schedule and also the impact which was created. For example, if it's a career fair, you can mention how many students got an opportunity to switch their careers or were hired by companies. If it's an entrepreneurship workshop, you can tell how many students were able to come up with a business model. So you can share all the impact or the accomplishment after that event. Then you have to mention the organizing team, the list of attendees, and the feedback which you received from the attendees as well. And apart from that, you also need to submit the write-up which can be published in Artem newsletter. So all these things are the things which are needed while you submit the activity report. So do make sure when you're planning the event to keep a track of these things as well, since you'll need to submit them at a later stage. Then the next thing is the expense report for reimbursement. Once the event is done, we as Art and YP would circulate a report to you, uh, like a report format to you, and you'll have to fill in all the expenses and get back to us. So few do's for this are that use a single currency throughout the report and mention the currency conversion rate for USD. Make sure you include each and every source of income and the expense details as well. And of course, the sanctioned funding amount. If all these things are in place, we'll be able to cater to your reimbursement at in a faster way. So this was about the reimbursement process as well. If you have any concerns related to funding opportunities, reporting, or proposal writing, feel free to contact any of us, or you can contact me as well. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Purva, for your informative session. If anyone from the audience has any questions regarding the points shared, please feel free to ask them in the chat box. And we have a small token of appreciation on behalf of the team for Purva. Thank you so much, Purva, for your valuable time.
Thank you. It was a pleasure for me.
Okay, so we will be moving on to our next segment, which is best practices of IEEE Young Professional Affinity Groups. For this segment, I would like to first welcome Dr. Harun Rashid, YP Affinity Group Chair of Malaysia. Dr. Harun Rashid received his bachelor's degree in Electrical and Electronic Engineering from the University of Sunderland, United Kingdom, MSc in Microelectronic Engineering, and PhD in Electrical, Electronic and Systems Engineering, both from the National University of Malaysia. Currently, he is attached with the Department of Electrical, Electronic and Systems Engineering of the National University of Malaysia as a research fellow. Dr. Rashid is a senior member and volunteer of IEEE since 2013. Currently, he is serving as the chair of IEEE Young Professionals Malaysia, Chair of IEEE Consultants Network Malaysia, Students and Young Professionals Activities Chair of IEEE Power and Energy Society Malaysia, Region 10 Coordinator of IEEE Power and Energy Society Young Professionals Committee, Webinar and Training Coordinator of IEEE Region 10 Young Professionals Committee, and the Advisor of IEEE UKM Power and Energy Society Student Rush Chapter. Without wasting any more time, may I request Dr. Harun to kindly share his insights on the best practices of IEEE YP affinity groups. Over to you, Dr. Harun.
Thank you very much, Purva. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
It's coming through. Yes, we can see.
Okay. Okay. I hope it's in the presentation mode, right? All right. Okay. Thank you very much for the nice introduction and a very long. Yes.
Can you? It's not in presentation mode.
Okay. Then let me switch my screen because I'm using two monitors, so probably it's happening because of it. Just give me a moment here. Let me share my whole screen. Okay. Allow me a second here, please. For okay, probably now it is fine, right?
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay, my apologies for the technical glitch. Okay, thank you very much, Purva, for the nice introduction and a very long introduction, in fact. So I won't take much time. I will go just to the point very quickly. As I am mentioned already by the MC that I am Harun Rashid. So currently I'm chairing IEEE Young Professionals Malaysia. I was the past chair of IEEE Young Professionals Malaysia as well for the last year. And I'm again elected as the chair of YP Malaysia. Okay, a little bit about myself that I did my PhD from University Kebangsaan Malaysia, which in English is National University of Malaysia. Before that, I did my master's also from the same university. I'm originally coming from Pakistan, and I've been based in Malaysia for almost 13 years. I have worked with the industry as well, and I've been lecturing as well as currently I'm attached in the research field with National University of Malaysia as well as a research fellow. So that's a little bit about myself, that I have experience from both sides, from the industry, from academia, in teaching, in research. So in terms of IEEE, I've been a volunteer for almost 7 years, almost now 9 years, sorry, now it's 9 years already with IEEE, especially in Malaysia section in terms of many portfolios. So when we talk about YPs, so I want, I believe all the people who are joining over here, they are very well aware about the hierarchical process or hierarchical structure of MGA, or the full form members and geographic activities, where we understand that, we comes here under region 10, and then here under regions there are sections. So young professionals are basically part of the section. They are the affinity group. You can see here I put it in the red. So there are several affinity groups, usually women in engineering, the famous one, people know about it, consultants network, life members and all that, they are affinity groups. So basically they are under the section as well as they are under their parent affinity groups, which are like right now, this event is run by YP Region 10. So this hierarchical structure is quite important, which I want, and I believe all of you are very well aware of it. Because this is very much important. If you are not aware that whom you have to report, whom you have to approach, and how the process will flow, you will be lacking with a couple of things which are highly important. So like you have here now in the second module about the funding opportunities and all that, if you are not aware of this structure, you will definitely have hurdles. You don't know that how you have to go through with it. And in order to understand that who are basically the YP members, so especially I'm targeting these two slides for those who are maybe a student member right now, or those maybe who are a new YP. So that's why I just took this extra 1 minute to explain you this, that graduate student members and IEEE full members or senior members. But who are these people who have been in the period of 15 years after the graduation date of their first degree? So if, for example, you have completed your bachelor's degree in 2010, so you can say that next 15 years you are considered as young professional. So now you can see that it doesn't mean that you are a postgraduate student doing your master's or PhD, you are a student member, or you should not be under YP. No, that's wrong. When I started working with YP Malaysia, that time I was a graduate student member. So that's why I put it in this this rectangular box, that you must have a look on this, that these three grades come under the YP, can be under the YP. Senior members can also be YP. Like for example, myself, I'm a senior member of IEEE and I'm a YP member as well. So I hope this is quite clear to you. Another thing, which before I talk about the today's topic, that best practices. So this is part of those best practices which those of you who are the executive committee of your young professional affinity group, you need to have understanding on that. This type of chart you can obtain from IEEE OU Analytics, and all the volunteers of all the officers of the affinity group, they have the access, or those of you who are coming from student branch, you can also go to IEEE OU Analytics and you can access this type of data. You need to understand that basically who are your members in your section. So like here I put this screenshot from OU Analytics, where there's a data of YP Malaysia members. It can be clearly seen here that what are our main members. Our members are basically coming from computing background. They are the highest number, then followed by communication, networking, broadcasting field, and then it comes to the power and energy society. So maybe in your section, this is not the case. Maybe in your section, power and energy society have the highest number of members. Maybe you have the members in your region, maybe they are coming from signal processing background, or so on. So this is very much important. Once you know that what is your targeted audience, who are your members, then you can plan the thing accordingly, and then you can come up with such kind of activities which are useful for them. So, I mean, there is no point when I look at this chart that there are less than 3 or 4 members coming from the background of aerospace. If I start organizing activities on aerospace, I believe nobody is going to join that activity because I don't have members over here. So that's called the members' interest. So you must have to focus and care about members' interest. All right. So what was in the past? So what I mentioned, the title today, best practices, but under that I put past, present, future, because I want to give you just an overview that what we have been doing in the past and what we are doing and what we are going to do in the future, so that you have some idea that what exactly you guys should also look into it. So in the past, it was before COVID time, it was a good time when there was no COVID season. We can have physical activities and all that, so and so. We had our AGM back in 2020. This was our team which was elected. And then we anticipated that there is nothing going to be something like Corona or something like this, that we will stuck with that. So in the past, what we were organizing, that we were doing all physical events. In that there were many hackathons, there were STEM workshops, coding with kids, social events, bowling, volleyball competitions, other than the technical things. Okay, I'm talking like the social events, you know, like that is what something that where you put your members together. So when it came in the Corona time, then we lost all these type of things where you can meet your members' friends, your student members in the student branches, your XCOM members and other members in your section. So This is one of the pictures that I put it here from 2018 from SYWL. So last year there was a SYWL and we were not able to join it. We had to join it virtually. So like I really miss this SYWL. So these are the things like which we have been doing in the past. So how we were affected with the condition by Corona, but still we maintain. So how we maintain, that's what I mentioned you, look for the need of your members. So far in year 2020, we organized 38 events. Of course, 99% of them were virtual, except one or two, which we managed to conduct the physical one. So this was the pandemic situation around the globe. So, but what we did that to target the maximum what our members can get. So we organize, of course, the technical talks. That's what I mean. Like you can give something back to the community free of charge. You don't have to include any cost. You are not paying for any venue. You don't have to worry about meals and all those kind of things. So at one side, as pandemic has hit us badly, on the other hand side, there is a positive aspect of this as well. If 2 years back, if you tell somebody, hey, let's have the meeting using Google Meet, they will say, oh, what is that Google Meet? We don't want to have the meeting through Google Meet. Now, if you tell them, hey, let's meet up at a restaurant, they will say, sorry, let's meet up at Google Meet or Zoom. We don't want to get affected from the coronavirus or the pandemic situation around us. So you see how things are getting changed. The same thing what you were expecting in the past no longer exists, no longer people want. So the practices that we did in 2020, what we did is the first thing, we sponsored the final year project competitions in several universities nationwide. That was one of our continuation of our previous thing that we have been doing. So this is why, because why we supported this, because universities in Malaysia, they organize final year project competition. And this is one of the good motivation that if in your country, if in your among your student branches, they are also organizing such kind of thing, that is going to be really good if you can contribute to that. You evaluate their projects and you just sponsor them the best, you just give them the best project award. So there are two benefits. One, you are giving recognition to students. They will be interested, they will be known to IEEE. Second thing, you are branding IEEE YP among local universities. Third thing, you are motivating the young generation to take lead as a IEEE volunteer in future as well. Okay, other than that, we go for YP tracks in Student Congress. We have annual Student Congresses here. And then another important thing is like the virtual meetup. This is important thing. I mean, like I will say that come up with such kind of networking activities where you organize students and YP meetup sessions. This is very much important, which can help you to achieve STEP programs, which is Student Transition and Elevation Partnership. Okay, we had one very interesting program, 5-minute FYP. This one maybe I will show you in the next slide. So these are some of the posters of events we organized in year 2020. So most, like what I mentioned, all were virtual. Okay, another interesting thing what we did is we, as we are under the section, so the section came up with this idea that they organize a centralized final year project competition, which is purely organized by the section. And in that, there were about 16 or 17 affinity groups and chapters under Malaysia section. They sponsored the prize. And then we evaluated the projects. We received like under our award name was YP Innovative Project, YP Innovative Project. And under that, we received about 17 submissions. And out of that, we awarded to the first one around 400 Malaysian ringgit, which is equivalent to 100 USD. So that was like one of the new things that we came up last year during the pandemic session. And then 5-minute final year project competition. This interesting thing was initiative last year we brought up under the educational activity, where we applied for educational activities funding and we won the funding. We run this project, 5-minute FYP, and it received a lot of success. We have published in several newsletters and articles as well. And there were about 1,000 plus audience who were present in this competition. So what was it? In short, I will just explain you. our focus was the students to come and present their research, their final year project in just 5 minutes with a static single slide. No transition in the slide. They just come and present in 5 minutes. All those videos are available at our YouTube channel. It can be accessed and you can have a look at it. How was it throughout the competition and everything? We just put it at our YouTube channel. Okay, another new initiative what we did last year was to engage the students and to maintain and to grow the student transition from student membership to YP was we came up with this idea of YP Student Ambassador Program. So last year we opened up the call and then we invited the student members and graduate student members. This call was not for young professional members. I mean, graduate student members, yes, they are the young professionals, but those who are already graduated, it was not for them. It was only for student members and graduate student members. For them to come over and then apply for it. And then we came up at the end, we awarded 10 student members, 10 student ambassadors. They are still working with us as a team and we are polishing them. We are motivating them to come forward and take lead and become the YP executive committee in future after their graduation, and also to focus on the retention of student membership to YP. Okay. Next to that, like what I mentioned, that we published the articles in local newspapers and also as well as in Malaysia newsletter. This was in Artem newsletter. This was in the Malaysia section newsletter. So we published, I mean, this is another important thing. If you are doing something, make sure you publicize it. Make sure you report it. So make sure you submit it to newsletters. If you are doing that, then of course people will know that what you are doing. If you are just doing the activity and you don't report even to B-Tools, IEEE doesn't know that you have done something. And your section also doesn't know. So what you need to do is first conduct the activity. After that, must publicize it, must put it in the newsletter. Okay. Now, what is happening in the current time? This was all about 2020, what we have done it. I will just take a few more minutes, probably another 2 to 3 minutes. So in the current time, how we are fixing up in the Corona session. So this year we had to go for our virtual AGM. There was no other option for us. We have to appoint the committee through the virtual AGM. You can see everyone was sitting at their home. This is our executive committee for 2021, including our auditors. And you can see they come up and then they were still enthusiastic. And our team is, our team has people from industry, from academia. That is the interesting thing, that you must keep the students as well. So we have almost, I can see from here, we have 4 students in our committee. So they are the graduate student members. And then other than that are some academicians, some are coming from industry. So this is also important, that you keep a good mixture. Do not keep all the people coming from academia. Do not keep all the people coming from the student branch, the graduate student members. Always have the senior and the junior concept. What our past chair has mentioned, Tako-san, that always keep, there is a need of the junior YPs and the senior YPs. So I cannot stay with YP forever. Maybe I will retire in another 1 year or 2 years. Then I need to train the team so that they can come forward. So this is what all of you have to do. Those in the senior positions must train the junior YPs, and those junior ones grab the things from your seniors so that you learn before time. So now this is another challenge for us, that we used to have around 1,300, 1,400 members, but we are hit by COVID scenario as well. And then our membership has been reduced also. Right now we are around 894 members as of today. In the past, we used to have around 1,000 to 1,003 members. So this is another challenge that we are working to retain it, but people are already challenged. So we cannot force them, but what we can do, we can give them opportunities by offering free activities where they can get benefited and they see the value of having IEEE membership. So these are some of the activities that we have conducted so far in 2021. We are targeting the kids as well. We are targeting the pre-university students as well. So that, and we are keeping engaged student branches with us, so that they see the benefit, okay, what it can be. Not only that, we just target the people, as what I mentioned in the beginning, that always look who are your targeted audiences. So you must have to look your targeted audience accordingly. You can look whom you have to target and what you have to target. These are some of the posters of our past activities. This one we publish in the newsletter Malaysia section. Some are still coming on, so that's why I didn't put it here because they are not published yet. Okay, now what is the future? What we are targeting in upcoming year, in the current year, in the rest of the 7 months that we are left for 2021, we are coming up with the same spirit. Last year, if we had came up with 38 events, our target is to go beyond that, and our target is to reach more and more members. And how we are approaching that, one of our approach is to make collaboration with different student branches, take their volunteers to work with you as a team, as your subcommittee team, so that they feel that there is a value, there is something that they should come forward and get it from YPs. So this is one of our event that we are planning. It is scheduled on 19th and 20th June. First IEEE Young Professionals Leaders Summit, which is supported by IEEE Region 10 and IEEE Region 10 Young Professionals under the funding of Student YP funding. We are offered $400 to $400 support from IEEE Region 10 YP to conduct this activity. What we are focusing here, this event is going to be free of charge. We are not going to charge anything from any participant, despite of you are IEEE member or you are not IEEE member. Anyone, it's open to everybody. So this is how you are attracting non-IEEE members. So basically we have target here 4 things. There are 2 forums, Industrial Forum and Technopreneurship Forum. It's a 2 half days event. There is a career talk session as well. It's a full workshop, how to write CVs and all that, and how you can market yourself. And also we are talking here like how you can become a professional engineer, you can register with UK and all that. So we have done for this, we are also doing the collaboration with the local association as well. Like this, one of the UK's association, the Institution of Engineering and Technology, their local chapter in Malaysia. So we collaborated with them to also extend them to let their members see as well that what IEEE is, what IEEE is doing. So that's another thing. So I mean, this is some of the things that you guys also look into it. So I'm coming to my conclusive remark, which I'm saying that what is basically the purpose of IEEE Young Professional. Focus on this, that is student transition and elevation. So this is an important thing. If we YP, we don't focus on this, we lost the student member, then we will not have young professional members, because we have a huge group of student members in Region 10. We want them to retain their membership and become a YP. So what is our thing? The main thing is to focus on student members. So this is very much important. I request to all those who are coming from different YPs under Region 10, please have a look on this. If it is not in your activities list for this year, please put it there and consider this as the main goal. If this is our main goal, we are fine to go with the goals of Region 10 and the goals of MGA. So here are the Facebook page link of our YP Malaysia. Also is a website, you can reach to us. And if you would like to in touch with me, you can also find me through different platforms. And with this, thank you very much. Over to you, MC.
Thank you so much, Dr. Harun, for your insightful presentation. I'm sure the whole audience got to learn a lot from you. And for your valuable time, we have a small token of appreciation on behalf of our team. Thank you, Dr. Harun.
Thank you very much for inviting me for this session, and thanks for the token of appreciation. Thank you very much.
Moving on to our next speaker on best practices for IEEE Young Professional Affinity Groups, may I request Dr. Sajid Muhaimin Chaudhary, YP Affinity Group Chair of Bangladesh Section. Dr. Sajid Chaudhary is working as an assistant professor in the Department of Tripoli, Buet. Dr. Chaudhary completed his PhD from the School of Electrical and Computer Engineering in Purdue University. He is engaged and he actively engages and volunteers in professional societies. He is currently the chair of IEEE Young Professionals Bangladesh, founding chair of IEEE Photonics Society Bangladesh chapter, and founding chair, the Optical Society Bangladesh section. Dr. Chaudhary is a senior member of the IEEE and a member of OSA. He is a member of the National Young Academy of Bangladesh. Without wasting any more time, may I request Dr. Sajid to kindly share his insights on the best practices of IEEE YP affinity groups. Over to you, Dr. Sajid. Thank you.
Thank you very much for giving this opportunity. I hope I'm audible, Masha.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I do apologize. We have a severe thunderstorm and the internet connection is having some difficulty, so please bear with me. And thank you once again for this opportunity. I'm going to skip this slide since Maisha gave a really nice introduction. For my IEEE volunteering and leadership, I started as a student branch leader, then gradually transitioned into the student activity coordinator of the section. At that time, IEEE Bangladesh section was really small, and then gradually into the Gold Affinity Group before I went for my PhD. And after coming back to Bangladesh, I became the YP chair. And I'm also leading the effort to establish a presence of photonics research community in Bangladesh. So I'm currently chair interim of the Photonics Society Bangladesh chapter. For best practices, if we look into this was before I came to Bangladesh, so these were the best practices that we had in Bangladesh, and as Dr. Harun mentioned, we also were mostly engaging in physical activities. We had the huge STEP events, and with collaboration with the section student activities committee, we were having the SPAC programs, we had workshops, all physical activities. And when the team of YP Bangladesh in 2020 was elected, this is the elected team, we were hoping to carry the same principles and go through organizing large events. And then, as you know, the 2020 happened, and the best practices that we started following is firstly to wash hands, and stay 6 feet or more away from each other. And the government issued lockdowns all throughout, just when we had the responsibilities of YP. And there was this period that where the government was saying that you stay for 2 weeks of lockdown and everything would be okay. And we were kind of waiting for things to be okay. And then after June, we started to decide, okay, maybe this is this COVID thing is for the long haul here, and maybe virtual activity is the way to go forward. So I'm going to be sharing some of our virtual activities that we did as a part of the Bangladesh section, in hope that you might actually find some of our ideas useful, and please feel free to collaborate with us when you design your activities if needed. So first activity that we did was in collaboration with the IEEE Bangladesh section. This was a PACE Day webinar on can we really be energy greener by 2050. And afterwards, we IEEE Bangladesh section actually organized the 10 SIMP YP or conference, and we were asked to deliver a YP track there. So we were extremely glad to host Dr. Tarao Suzuki, and at that time, who was the chair of IEEE Region 10 YP, and Dr. Nirmal C. Nair, who was the chair of Region 10 Professional Activities Committee. And then we decided to have an interdisciplinary approach workshop. The envisioned this program where we would invite the lead researchers of engineers and biologists and how we can together. So this virus and these kinds of things were really big, and we wanted to see how in the COVID-19 reality we could cooperate with each other. And we had Dr. Ferdowsi Kadri, who's the head of immunology vaccinology in DDRB. She invented the cholera vaccine, or at least one of the inventors. And we had Professor Dr. Ashraful Alam, who is a fellow of IEEE and who very recently discovered how to test a dead or alive bacteria using a simple electrolysis based test. And we had some panelists. We had a great discussion there. And we had about 223 participants, all who registered and attended the event. Then we organized the Young Professionals Meetup. This was actually a planned event to do with the local activities grant of YP, but we didn't get any response from the YP for this one. So we decided to go ahead and organize it anyway. At the time, the IEEE Bangladesh section was having the International COVID Congress. So we collaborated with them. And we actually had Dr. Harun there as a resource speaker, and we were extremely glad. I designed this template with all the flags that were represented by our meetup. And we actually had 26 different regions and 19 different countries represented in terms of registration in our event. Then we had a membership development event. As Dr. Harun mentioned, it's very important to convince the student members to transition them to be a young professional member. Unfortunately for Bangladesh, student members to young professional transition rate is very low, since the membership fee is extremely high. We wanted to convince them and show them how the membership or how any professional membership has value to in their early careers. This is done in the advantage of joining a professional organization in there. Afterwards, we organized an idea contest. This was funded by the Global YP. So the idea contest was to mitigate post-COVID impact in a low or medium middle income country. So this is a screenshot from the final contest, and we had an international panel of judges who were judging our participants. This is the judge panel that we had. And we had 5 ideas who fulfilled all the criteria to go into the final part. And we had Team Oxyjet who won the contest. And this Team Oxyjet, which is from the Biomedical Engineering Department of Bangladesh University of Engineering and Technology, they actually realized their idea in clinical stage. And I think they just entered 3rd stage clinical trial in Bangladesh, and hopefully with our seed money, they were able to put forward their idea, and this would become a actual product that's going to come in the market. And there were also some honorable mentions that we also decided to give them some recognition for their work. We also want to improve the communication, and as a researcher or as an engineer, it's important to build up a good rapport of communication. And I was doing a course in Coursera where I met this very talented lady, Christine Sainani. So I actually emailed her. She's a Stanford University associate professor. And I asked her to give her a workshop for improving scientific writing. And she immediately agreed. I was kind of expecting her to ask some speaker fee, but she was extremely just to offer a free webinar for the members. And we then had about 122 participants who attended the workshop on improving scientific writing. We also had our STEP event, which was held on September 5th last year, and with 115 participants. And then we actually organized this new event, which is Meet the Young Professionals. My idea was that we need to have a impactful event that where we can have some young professional in hosted by the IEEE Young Professionals Bangladesh, and he or she would talk about his or her career and what they are doing. And the first event actually was supposed to be given by Dr. Imran Muhammad Amin, but unfortunately he cancelled on the day before, saying that he has some illness. He's suspecting that he's having COVID. Then I decided to push myself to prepare for a webinar in one day. So I decided to give the audience a webinar on importance of networking in the early career. That was the first Meet the YP event. Then, of course, Dr. Amin got better. He gave his webinar on navigating through an engineering career in 2020. And then we invited loads of speakers. These are both from industry. Dr. Upal Mahbub is a senior engineer in Qualcomm. He gave a talk on machine learning. Dr. Imdadullah, he works in the Toshiba Corporation as a large-scale system integration engineer. He gave a talk on the semiconductor industry. We had postdocs such as Dr. Raisul Islam. He's currently working in intermolecular and also a Stanford University postdoc. He works on memory technologies. Dr. Selim Habib is a Florida Polytechnic University assistant professor. He works on hollow core fibers. Dr. Nurul Islam, he actually works with brain-computer interfacing. So he talked about neural engineering. Dr. Ahmedullah Aziz, he's an assistant professor at University of Tennessee, Knoxville. He talked about emerging nanoelectronics, mostly about his current research. We also had some of the Meet the YP events combining the speakers if they had some synergy. So these three very talented researchers, they all actually came from the same class. So they wanted to give a webinar together. So we banded in research opportunities in power, electronics, and computer, three facets of the electrical engineering research. So Dr. Shamima Nazin, she works at Intel Corporation. She talked about her work on AI-based work in data centers. Dr. Faiza Hafiz works for Hitachi ABB Power Grid Research. She talks about optimizing the aspects in smart grid. And Dr. Neetu Said, she actually won the top 35 under 35 research award from Australian government. She's a postdoc at RMIT. She talked about her research on functional nanomaterials. We also invited researchers from national laboratories. So both Dr. Ovijit Saha and Dr. Shivani Ghosh were from the National Renewable Energy Research Lab. So they talked about working with smart and energy efficient building and the changing landscape in power grid. We also invited Dr. Ahmed Zubair from Massachusetts Institute of Technology for talking about wideband semiconductors. Dr. Himadri Shekhar De, he's an engineer from Micron Technologies, which is the largest memory manufacturer in the world. So he also talked about working in the semiconductor technology development. We invited Dr. Rajiv Mikhail, who's a senior scientist at ABB Corporation, to talk about the future of energy and automation. We invited Dr. Shama Naz Islam. This is one of our more popular events where we had about 211 participants. So she talked about Internet of Things for smart energy systems. So she's working on smart grid and she talked about that. We invited engineers from Intel, who three different sites which is the product fabric process technology development, the quality development, and the design phase. So this was a nice broad overall view of the working in semiconductor industry. So if someone is planning to transition there, where they could apply for job, or what are the challenges, what kind of skill sets they need. This was a great discussion, and this event actually happened 2 days after my daughter was born. So I actually chaired the session from the hospital from my mobile phone. So it was one of my more memorable events. And we also had Mr. Nadim Chaudhuri from MIT on gallium nitride based CMOS technology, Dr. Imtiaz Ahmed from Marshall University for wireless communication. And we had Dr. Saqib Hassan talking about neuromorphic computing from University of Mississippi. And we had Asfar Adib. He's one of the more known faces of R10. He gave a lot of talks. So he talked about adaptive intelligence, machines versus humans. And then I actually had the privilege of studying with Dr. Chamok Hassan. So he's a well-known figure in Bangladesh. He has an active YouTube channel and he writes a lot of books. So I said that, okay, please come to YP. We want to host you there. And unfortunately, the Zoom account that we were using to host the event, it had a limit of 300. And so that immediately got filled up, and we actually had to cycle through people. So some people were leaving and some people could join. So that kind of thing. So at the end, we had about 1,296 participants based on the Zoom chat log. So he works currently in Boston Scientific, and he talked about implant safety of nuclear magnetic resonance. So this is one aspect that if you're expecting a really popular speaker for a virtual event, you have to plan ahead and probably increase your Zoom capacity or get a large meeting kind of thing. We also hosted Dr. S.M. Shofiul Alam from Idaho National Laboratories. He talked about renewable energies. We hosted Dr. Fahim Rahman from University of Florida to talk about security of microelectronics. And for number 31, we actually hosted Dr. Soyed Saqib Sarwar, who was from Facebook, and he actually had to go through a lot of hoops to get permission for giving these talks from Facebook. And this was from embedded vision system challenges in AR or VR. I also contacted one speaker from Apple, who was a friend of mine, but unfortunately he couldn't get a permission from Apple, so we couldn't host him anymore. And we hosted Dr. Tanvir Ahmed Bhuiya, who works on sensor-based audiological applications. We hosted from Wolfspeed, this is for silicon carbide technology development, Dr. S.M. Naimul Islam, for Dr. Sherin Said, who's a postdoctoral research at the Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory and UC Berkeley. He talked about spintronics. This was a demanded webinar. So, and we actually had Dr. Rajiv Ahmed for biosensing application, and for opportunities in optics to design the future by Dr. Faria Hai. We also collaborated with some of the student branches. This was with NSU IEEE chapter. Dr. Muhaimin Islam gave a talk there. And as it's already mentioned, we recently did the Young Professional Students Vitality Enhancement and Engagement Summit. And I'm just going to skip this. So this is the number of YP events over the years. So this is our last year. We had about 41 vTool approved events, as 2 of them were meetings and rest were actual virtual events. And if we look at the number of events, we actually were third in terms of the number of events organized in 2020 in all over the world. This is from the vTool events data. And if we look at the peak pandemic time from July to December, we were the top organizer of virtual events in all over the world. So we did a lot of outreach. We built up our YouTube channel, which has all the webinar where we got permission from the speaker to host them. And we want you to stay connected with us through our website, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And this is all my presentation. I'm sorry I went above time, but thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sajid, for your informative talk. For your valuable time given to us, we have a small token of appreciation on behalf of IEEE Region and Young Professionals team. Hope you like it and accept it.
Thank you very much. This is wonderful, and I do accept it humbly and gladly.
Thank you, Dr. Sajid. With this, we have reached the end of the talk sessions, and now we have the QA session. We have received some questions from the audience and would like to take a few of them. So the first question is, how can IEEE student branch take part in this project? Are they allowed to apply for YP Global Funds? I think this is related to some project that was discussed by Dr. Tapu. Would you like to address this question?
I cannot get one. Huh?
So the question is, how can IEEE student branch? Okay,
Yeah,
so the question
but
is, sorry.
This question is about Machu-san's initiative, not mine, I think.
I think this was a question for the Region 10 director, Deepak. He mentioned
Deepak
yes.
Yeah, he mentioned the project in the beginning.
Mm-hmm. So global initiative,
I
new
think
initiative.
I can answer the question. So the question is how SBs can involve in ages, right, Maisha?
Okay, so I asked that how, I think the question was related to Dr. Deepak's presentation. Okay, so
yes,
let's move on to the next question.
No, I can address it, Maisha. Can you repeat the question?
Are SBs allowed to apply for YP Global Funds?
Right. So for the R10 YP funds, SBs are not allowed to apply, but you can collaborate with your YP affinity group. For example, Student YP Joint Fund, you can collaborate with them and ask your YPAG to apply on behalf of you. And also for globally, at the same time, I think any OU can apply for the MGA YP funding. I think Jose might be able to clarify on that aspect.
Yes, that's right. You've just said
yes.
it. So any OU can apply for funding. We are actually looking into those rules to try and have a better distribution all over the globe. But what you say is correct. Any OU can apply for funding once per year per type of funding.
Thank you, Judge. Okay, Maisha, I think we can go to the next question.
Okay, so we have another question. What if our funding is approved for a physical event, but due to COVID situation, we had to make it online? Will we still get full funding amount or only the amount allocated for online events? Dr. Savitya, would you like to address this question?
Yes, for R10 YP, for Student YP Joint Activity Fund, we have given 3 criteria for virtual. We are giving around $250 virtual events. For hybrid and in-person face-to-face events, we are offering $400. So there is a criteria there. For upskill, you can claim up to $400 because it can comprise of single activity or it can comprise of multiple activities despite of virtual, face-to-face, or hybrid. And for new Dorman AG fund, yeah, again, you can claim up to $750 as approved by us, despite of the mode you are conducting the event.
Thank you, Dr. Savi, for answering this question. Another question we have is, if we provide an e-certificate for the participants, should we include signature from YP representative, or it just only include IEEE YP logs?
Yeah, definitely an e-certificate need to include a signature. It would be ideal to have the YP chairs or section chair signature. Yeah, but it's totally up to the AG to decide on that aspect.
All right. Okay, so next we have another question. I think this is to Jose. What's your best case practices for non-monetary strategic partnerships? Should I repeat the question?
Yes, please. So what's my best suggestion
case
for
practices for non-monetary strategic partnerships?
Okay, so that's a difficult one. It depends on what you have to offer, right? So you're creating a partnership, and that's kind of applies to both cases. But the most important part is what you're offering with your partnership. Okay, and best practices. Well, I think I mentioned that in my presentation, which is communication, and basically both parties have to be in the same point of communications. What you're offering must be in conjunction with what the other person, whether that be a company or whether that be the academia, because you can have long-lasting partnerships with the academia as well. And we have an example, for example, in the YP committee, we had a partnership, a long-term partnership, which was not IEEE related, which was with DigiKey. And they basically were featured in all of our events, all of our funding. And the key for that successful partnership was basically we set our standards how they wanted, and we offered exactly what they wanted. And the communication was very clear. And I think that's the most important part, okay? And also, of course, when engaging with an entity, or whichever entity that is, in order to obtain the partnership, you basically have to have something that they want. And the difficult part is understanding what that is. Once you understand what someone or a company or a group or an organization wants, then all you have to do is basically maintain the communication and the level of confidence between you or IEEE or your affinity group or your committee and that same entity, if that makes sense.
I think this answered the question. Thank you so much. So we have another question, which is I'd like to ask to Dr. Savi. Can Artem provide event platforms other than Webex for our events? This is, I think, one of the common questions.
Right. So IEEE currently offers Webex for our users, and IEEE also recommends to use Google Meet and so on. So other than that, other platforms are not offered at the moment.
Okay, and another question, I think this has been answered. Can a student branch have a YP?
YPAG?
Yeah, I think this has been answered already because for YPs, the criteria is graduate student members, and a student branch cannot have YPs, right?
Yep, that's right.
Okay, so with this, we have reached to the conclusion of our QA session. We would really appreciate it if we could kindly fill up the feedback form. Tamika, would you like to share the code, please, for the feedback form?
Tamika, are you here?
Dear attendees, you can scan this QR code and please send us your valuable feedback.
I think we can move on with the next one while we are filling the feedback for Maisha.
Okay, so now we have the closing remarks from IP Region 10 Young Professionals Chair, Dr. Savitya Sivakumar. Dr. Savitya Sivakumar completed her PhD at Monash University and Bachelor's in Engineering, Electronic and Communications Engineering at Curtin University. Over the course of the past 9 years, she has exposed herself to various leadership positions as a member of the IEEE. She has actively coordinated various committee projects for IEEE in section, region, and global level. Savitya is currently volunteering as the IEEE Region 10 Young Professionals Committee Chair for 2021-2022 and also takes care of student to Young Professionals Transition Activities at IEEE MGA Student Activities Committee. She is the immediate past regional student representative of IEEE Region 10 for 2019-2020 for representing student members across the Asia Pacific. May I request Dr. Savitya to kindly take over and close the session. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Maisha, for being a great host. I'll make it fast because we are running out of time. So thanking from the speakers. So what I should say, Deepak sir gave a great start today, giving wiseful advice for all YPs, and then moving on with Jose. It was indeed the pleasure to listen to you, Jose, starting from aspects with respect to organizers, participants, how to budget, how to update the budget over the course of the planning, to establishing partnership, especially with student branches, and also to understand what the partners need for any partnership or funding, and how to make the events unique, especially important with respect to this new online virtual whole era. And also, thanks a lot. It is indeed a pleasure listening to you, Jos. And moving on with Thakur, it is really an interesting session. I really like that junior YP and senior YP thing that you brought up. Actually, we need to call our students as junior YPs, not students, because they are also part of young professionals. So I really like that part, also the funding opportunities to highlight the tips and tricks, the process of MGA-YP funding, and also the professional skills we need in order to write the reporting and all. So thanks a lot, Taku, on that aspect. And moving on to our dear Purva, thanks a lot for the very detailed overview, step-by-step guidelines of the funding process of R10 YP, especially on the proposal writing aspect. I'm pretty sure people really got useful tips and tricks from you today.
Sorry. I believe you will be the chair of MJYP in the future. You will be the chair of MJYP. I believe.
Thank you, Taku. Thank you. All right, so moving on with Harun. Harun, it is indeed a pleasure to listen to you today, and I'm really proud to also see the Malaysia section activities. It is my past section, so I'm really happy about it as well. So, moving on to Sajid, impressive set of events. You guys really nailed the online book thing from Bangladesh sections. So kudos to everyone. Thanks a lot for the team for their hard work. If Damika, can you move on to the next slide? Dhammika. All right, okay, sorry for that. So Maisha, thanks a lot, Maisha. Once again, thank you, Maisha, for your hard work. You are a delight to Region 10 YP, so thanks a lot for being a great host and MC today. Moving on to the next slide, Dhammika. Thanks to the entire team for their hard work, especially Dhammika, our webinar and training coordinator, Harun, and Purva, our information management and communications coordinator, and also our Young Professional Affinity Group coordinator, Ashwini. She's the master brain behind the whole idea of this event. And our publicity team, Tawhid, Akash, Maisha, Elaine, and Mitushan. Thanks a lot for all your hard work. I just want to take some time to highlight these young volunteers for their dedication for YP R10. So having said that, a big thanks to our our partners, Region 10 and Global Young Professionals, Jose and Taku, for being with us today. You guys are a big support for R10 YP. And last but not least, thanks so much for our awesome attendees. We had a great participation today, approximately 500 registrations, and I hope we have gained quite a lot of insightful information for all of y'all. And please do let us know your feedback. So we want to learn how to improve our future activities based on your experience. And if you have any questions, do reach out to us with our R10 FB, Instagram, LinkedIn, or emailing us through our website and so on. And we will be sending you all the recording and as well as the slides to all our attendees. So thanks a lot and hope to see you all again soon.